Tonight on KGW News.
It's not a funny prank at all. I think it's actually pretty serious.
A Portland woman and her dog may have fallen victim to a dangerous TikTok trend. Plus, a rare presidential visit to the Rose City. Why President Biden will be here next week. And an Oregon man makes a return trip to the Ukraine border.
They need as much support as they can get.
What he's learned from refugees he helped flee the war zone. Then later, tax time, you can't avoid them anymore. We verify, can asking for an extension make you a target for an audit? Your news starts now. Hello and good evening on this Friday night. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a presidential visit to Portland, just announced by the White House today. President Biden will be talking infrastructure investments during a trip to Portland next Thursday. In looking ahead to the stop, our Alma McCarty also took a look back at some other presidential visits to the Pacific Northwest.
And Laurel, to get a better sense of the significance of these trips, why presidents come here or why they don't, I spoke with KGW political analyst Len Bergstein.
From the touchdown of Air Force One,
I think people do love to show up at those kinds of things and see it.
To the speeches, the crowds, the fanfare, even the protests.
People in Oregon care an awful lot about issues. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Presidential visits carry quite a bit of significance in the eyes of political analyst Len Bergstein.
There's still a certain majesty about president and being one of the most powerful people in the world kind of visiting our state to talk about our issues.
President Biden set to talk infrastructure issues and solutions on Thursday in Portland before heading north to Seattle to discuss the clean energy economy.
The West is particularly a nice place for him to come talk about that because whether it's roads, ports, bridges, or broadband, there are a whole bunch of infrastructure issues that I think he can talk to that will make sense to Oregonians.
Bergstein says Oregon can serve as the setting where presidents discuss substantive issues. He says visits from former presidents Obama and Clinton come to mind.
Obama visited both Nike and Intel, I think, in various different techniques. Clinton came out to talk, I remember very specifically, they organized a full day's summit on timber issues.
Oregon, Portland in particular, also the backdrop of passionate protests, as George H.W. Bush and his administration found in the early 90s.
Bush and Quayle were obviously the focus of things that led them to think of Portland as Little Beirut. In many cases, Republican presidents would choose to go somewhere else. It would be more welcome for them to be in Medford or Pendleton or some of the non-metropolitan areas.
But compared with other states, those presidential trips can be rare, since Oregon isn't exactly a battleground state.
When they weigh all the different places that they can go, they want to get to places where they think the outcome of an upcoming election or an upcoming set of issues are in doubt.
And as far as this upcoming visit, details on where in the city President Biden will be and what time he will visit still under wraps. As we learn more, we'll fill you in. Laurel?
We look forward to hearing more. Thank you, Alma. Now to the war in Ukraine, where the bodies of more than 900 civilians have been discovered in Kyiv following the withdrawal of Russian forces. That's according to the regional police chief. Meantime, Russia is vowing to renew missile attacks on Kyiv. It comes after the sinking of the Russian warship, the Moskva. It was the flagship of Russia's Black Sea fleet. A senior U.S. official said it was hit by a Ukrainian missile. Meanwhile, relief efforts continue on the Ukrainian border as refugees flee to safety. Catherine Cook spoke with a Portland man who just returned from his second trip to help.
It's just a very chaotic situation in Ukraine right now, and they need as much support as they can get.
Hunter Baldridge isn't asking for something he's not willing to give. The Portland native just returned from his second trip to the Ukrainian border.
So we're on our way to the Polish border. We should be there in about 2.5 hours.
To drive refugees into Poland. He took them to hotels, the train station, and the airport. 65 people this trip, and more than 100 in all, mostly women and children.
A lot of them ask us, why are you helping us? When we tell them where we're from, they're like, you came all the way from America to help us. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And when we were able to give them the money that we got from donations, put that into the hands of the refugees that we transported, some of them would be like, thank you so much. Others would tear up and, give us hugs.
Hunter's friends and family raised $20,000 after his first trip to the border. He's currently a grad student in Spain, but says he couldn't just let the money sit there.
We felt like a lot of these people donated specifically to get this money in the hands of refugees. So we decided, we should go back, do the same thing over again.
On his second trip, as fate would have it, Hunter ran into a man he'd helped before. The man had come from Ireland to take up arms with Ukrainians in battle.
He ended up fighting at the border there, and we transport him out this time. We were able to convince him to leave, and we said, hey, you got to get out of there. You did your time. You helped out as much as you could, but now it's time to get back home, get to your family. And so we were able to convince him to leave, and we gave him, a celebration when he left.
Hunter says it will be a while before he returns to Ukraine. It's time now to focus on his studies.
We're still in school here in Spain.
But he hopes anyone who's able will donate to reputable nonprofits still working in Ukraine. Hunter stays in touch with many of them. They tell him another wave of refugees is coming through after recent bombings in Lviv.
So this definitely isn't over yet.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And young musicians in Portland are using their talents to raise money for Ukraine this weekend. The Stand with Ukraine benefit concert will feature classical music by students from the Portland Youth Philharmonic. The money collected at the concert and their GoFundMe account will go to the United Nations Children's Fund. The concert starts at 2:30 Sunday afternoon inside Lincoln Hall on the Portland State campus. A dangerous trend on TikTok may be behind a recent attack in Portland. The videos on TikTok show teens recording themselves driving around and shooting unsuspecting people with pellet guns. A woman who lives in North Portland says she was walking her dog Tuesday night on Mississippi Avenue. A red sedan pulled up about 20 feet away from them. She says a passenger in the car shot BB pellets at her face, her boyfriend's face, and at the dog.
I think my dog and I were hit first. I think that's what happened because it hit me in my cheek on my face right here, and it really startled me.
They may be really small, but if somebody gets hit in the eye, it can be really dangerous.
Portland police haven't had reports of any similar cases, but in Milwaukee last week, 2 kids playing outside were shot at with an airsoft-style gun. Sign up is happening now for free classes to help women with self-defense moves and other strategies to stay safe. They're virtual classes for now from Women's Strength. That's a Portland Police Bureau program. The director tells us physical self-defense moves should be a last resort. Avoiding confrontation starts with taking an assertive stance. Walk at a steady pace with your shoulders relaxed and your eyes up.
Something super simple. We make eye contact with people, with strangers, and it gets uncomfortable. So we automatically look down, and that goes right into a passive stance and a passive face. So instead, break eye contact, just looking to the side, and then you maintain your assertiveness.
Then if someone does confront you, remove yourself from the situation if you can. If not, work to de-escalate. Stay calm yourself. Try to figure out what the other person wants and talk to them. Try to tap into their rational thoughts, she says. The next Women's Strength class starts May 4th, and there's one every month. Just email ws@portlandoregon.gov to sign up. Now to the upcoming primary election in Oregon's brand new congressional district. Oregon went through redistricting last year and added a 6th district to the map. Here's a closer look at where it is. You can see it includes Yamhill and Polk counties, the city of Salem, and part of the Portland metro area. Tonight on The Story, Pat Doris took a look at one candidate for the seat who stands out.
Since the 6th is a brand new seat, that means there's no incumbent, which is a huge deal. Incumbents nearly always win, but this race, this one is wide open. 16 candidates are running, 9 Democrats and 7 Republicans. Some you've probably heard of. 2 are current state representatives. 1 is a former Multnomah County commissioner. But the guy winning the money race so far is a Democrat named Carrick Flynn. A lot of people have the same question. Who the heck is Carrick Flynn? His website says he grew up in the small town of Vernonia and overcame hardships like poverty. He then went to the University of Oregon and law school at Yale. After that, he lived in a bunch of different countries working on human rights issues and technology like artificial intelligence. He only recently returned to Oregon. The other big question, where's his money coming from? Most of it is from a political action committee called Protect Our Future. It's funded by a cryptocurrency billionaire named Sam Bankman-Fried. They've spent, get this, almost $6 million on Flynn's campaign so far. That's a huge amount, especially compared to the money his challengers have on hand. On top of that, Flynn just got another $1 million from the House Majority PAC, which is tied to Democratic leadership in Congress. That's notable because it means the National Party is basically saying, yep, this is our guy. But typically the PAC is not supposed to step into contested primaries, and that has Flynn's fellow Democrats furious. A group of them held a press conference earlier this week.
This effort by the political arm of the Democratic establishment to buy this race for one candidate is a slap in the face to every Democratic voter and volunteer in Oregon. And it's especially concerning in a year when all resources must go to protecting the Democratic majority.
We reached out to Flynn about some of those questions. As for the crypto money, he said, I am running on a core belief that this pandemic could have been avoided with stronger science-based leadership. Myself and other candidates have received the independent backing of individuals who share this commitment to future planning, but my campaign has no direct engagement or funding from these sources. It is true that the crypto billionaire is not directly pumping money into his campaign, but that's how political action committees work. They buy a bunch of ads to support the candidate they want, which is exactly what's happening here.
Well, Rip City, you're not going to like this news. The New Orleans Pelicans beat the LA Clippers tonight to earn a spot in the playoffs, and that means the Blazers will not get New Orleans' first-round pick as part of a C.J. McCollum trade earlier this year. The pick had several protections on it, including one if the Pelicans made the playoffs. So that means the Blazers will have to wait for the 2025 draft to use that extra draft choice. The Blazers now have to hope they score a high spot on the draft lottery on May 17th. We will certainly hope for the best.